What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. And break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward. Some very important factors involved in the market, so what you should be watching for as time goes on. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. You deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, and the offer ends very soon in just about 9 days. Anyways, for NIO, I just wanted to mention that we had this falling wedge-like structure that was developing. And we actually saw a nice breakout from here, and we were calling this out yesterday as a strong possibility. I told you to watch to see if we can try to get back above 4.6. We managed to do so, which is a good sign for the stock. There's a good chance it's going to likely try to continue tomorrow, as long as we hold above that structure. So I'm going to break down more information about this in just a minute, but let me just mention just a couple of things. Just know that tomorrow is going to be Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. At 10 o'clock a.m., we have the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index, the Fed Services Index, and lots of data coming out for shipments. Very, very minor data, but it might cause some volatility at 10 o'clock a.m., 30 minutes after the market ends up opening. On top of this, we also have some note auctions and bill auctions coming out at 11:30 and 1 p.m. All of it's still quite minor data, nothing too crazy. For earnings, however, we have something very big coming out, which will end up affecting NIO. I want to make it very, very clear that we have Tesla and Alphabet announcing their earnings. Tesla is going to be a very important one because Tesla is known for giving us more insights on what's happening with the overall EV sector, and it's going to be very important to watch at least moving forward. So I want to make that very, very clear. That's what's actually happening. With Tesla announcing its earnings tomorrow, we're going to be looking for a big move even for NIO. So be very, very patient and open-minded about that. For today, we actually just got Verizon announcing its earnings. Unfortunately, they missed their quarterly revenue. That's part of why the share price is actually down a bit. And with that happening, with their new changes right over here, they added about 148,000 monthly bill paying wireless phone subscribers from April to June. And that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot else that's going on. They also reported about 32.8 billion in revenue, which is actually below estimates of 33 plus billion. So that's why the share price is still down, not really doing much else. Now, NIO, on the other hand, has its own moves to be made. It's actually going to be hosted in 2024 on July 27th in Shanghai, and a very, very important tech event. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen right over here as they start developing new systems right over here. So we're going to be looking at some new operating systems and some groundbreaking moves, and also other very important factors. So that's something else that's worth noting. Also, NIO slots in 2024 Tech Day, so that's also going to be very important to note. And with this going on, I just want to mention that there's been a lot of changes that have been happening to, their overall sentiment right now, because there's been a lot of growth and a lot more exposure that they're getting to different countries, especially in Europe. There's also been some talk about how the Firefly was spotted again, and this time we're actually seeing the interior. So that's actually another big bullish catalyst for 2024 as they kind of expand across Europe and other areas. That's a very, very important sector for them. So I'm seeing a lot of exposure involving that. There's also been some talk about how the People's Bank of China announced that it would cut the 7-day reverse repo rate to about 1.7% from 1.8%. Reducing these rates is once again going to help to slow things down, and this will once again actually help companies like NIO, which are interest rate dependent in a lot of different factors. So I just wanted to call that out, guys. That's another very, very important factor worth mentioning. As far as the data goes, we have about 34 million in volume. That's actually below average. We also have Bank of America Securities announcing a neutral rating. Citigroup is giving them a buy rating, but there's not much else shifting here. So as far as NIO goes, we've got this breakout from this falling wedge, looking pretty decent so far. If we continue to break above 4.7, I'll be looking for a push all the way up to about 4.8 plus. If we end up losing support at 4.6, we'll be dipping all the way down towards the gap fill at 4.46. Because we got this breakout going on, as long as we hold up at 4.6, I'm anticipating 4.8, and NIO is looking like it may continue to break out from here. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case or not. So with that being said, guys, I just want to give you guys more information about that. Looking at other factors, I want to mention that other stocks like Tesla are going to be making some big moves too. Right now, Tesla has an inverse head and shoulders like structure. It could actually get a little dip in the morning to retest liquidity at 248.36. I might dip a little bit here, then try to rebound, start pushing to fill this imbalance for 258. So there is most definitely some upside potential, but let me just make it very clear that with what's going on, Even if we do dip a little bit, we could try to push higher approaching earnings. And that's what it's trying to do. Now, don't worry too much about the move. Earnings coming out tomorrow is going to cause the real move. So even if we do kind of dip a bit and start pushing for 258, doesn't matter, guys. What matters more is going to be earnings. We're going to be either seeing a big rug pull or a big pump. So don't forget about that. That's going to be very important for stocks like NIO and those that are part of the EV sector. On top of this, we have SPY. SPY has an inverse head and shoulders. If we break past our 200 EMA, which is around 555.31, we'll be looking for a pump all the way up to 558. And if we end up losing 552.76, we'll be dipping back down towards 550. I do see potential for this to break through the 200 EMA to push higher. There is most definitely potential. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case. So watch and see how things end up progressing from here. So that being said, guys, that's what we're basically seeing. I think that there is upside potential for SPY if we break this resistance. So we'll have to see if that ends up being the case or not. For Nvda, we're actually trying to break higher. We have a nice double bottom inverse head and shoulders like structure. We have this gap to fill up here, so I think there's a good chance we fill this for 125 very soon. So I favor upside in my personal opinion. Looking at Bitcoin, we're kind of shuffling right here. We have this nice range being established between 68,000, 66,000. Might dip back down to the 66,000 before we get a nice bounce, but that's what I'm seeing thus far. For others out there, we have ES. If we break past 5,600, I'll be looking for a big push for this imbalance towards 5,636. There is potential for that, so I do see that it might try to break higher. The QQQ looks like it has an inverse head and shoulders. As long as we try to break above 483, I'll be looking for 485. And if that breaks, we turn even more bullish. But I do see a test of 485 coming. We'll see if it breaks that or not. I do think it's going to push a little bit higher. And we'll see if it gets a rejection or not off 485. If we break that, we're going to turn even more bullish. So I just wanted to call that out. On top of all of this, I also want to mention that we have other factors coming. We have Aapl. Aapl is currently at 224 a share, kind of stuck in the middle. If we break past 225, I'll be looking for 228. And if we end up losing support at 223, we'll be dipping all the way down to the 220 area. Aapl is showing a little bit of weakness right here. It looks like it's going to be retesting 222, and we'll see if it bounces or not. But just watch that very, very closely. The IWM is looking more bullish. Looks like it wants to go up to 222 as long as we hold above 220. Coinbase is testing 265 if this breaks. It depends if we break this or not. This is tough resistance. If it rejects here, watch 257 again. If we break that, we're going up to 270. Amazon is actually trying to push right now towards of this inverse head and shoulders to this imbalance at 188. We'll see if it breaks or not. It does have potential. If we end up losing structure, however, let me just double check one thing. If we lose support at 182, we'll be dipping back down. But this looks like it has an inverse head and shoulders, so there is potential in this. For Meta, we're trying to push a little bit higher, so I could be looking for a breakout. It depends if we could hold above 490 or not. If we hold above 490, we'll be looking for a move all the way up to about 495. And if we lose 483, we'll be dipping back down towards 478. So watch that very carefully. Microsoft is looking more bullish. It's going to be testing 444 tomorrow. If we break that, I'll be looking for a breakout for the gap fill for 448. If we fail to do so, we could get the rug pull, but it does favor upside a little bit more. Google's also favoring upside. It might push a little bit more going into earnings around 185 and then shuffle. So we'll see how it goes. GameStop is trying to break a bit. If we could try to get back up to 25.28, I'll be looking for a push for 26 plus. Eventually, high levels like this imbalance for 28 seem very probable. AMC is more bullish, trying to break out. It did push only to come back down. So I think it might actually come back down to fill the gap to 5.13, then bounce and continue to push. So look for a dip and a bounce on AMC. That is it for my analysis. As far as NIO goes, the technicals favor the upside. It looks like it might be pushing for 4.8 plus. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. But with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you and peace out.